1 Thessalonians 5:1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall see peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should come, should overtake you as a thief. Ye are all children of light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep, as do others, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. So the scripture is giving us 3 commandments to watch and be sober. Watch for what? Watch for the signs of times, the times that we're living in relation to biblical prophecy. When you go into the word sober, it means to be circumspect, dispassionate. The word dispassionate means to be rational, not ruled by emotions, as in impartial. So the events that are happening right now are events that will cause a lot of people to be bugged out of their minds. It causes a lot of people to be asking questions if there is a God. But these are the signs of destruction, the signs of disease, famine, all of these signs, earthquakes and uproars of the people. All of these signs are signs of the return of the Heavenly Father. Right? As it's mentioned in the book of 2 Ezra chapter 9. It's also mentioned in the book of 2 Ezra 15, Matthew 24. All of those scriptures speak about the signs of the return of the Heavenly Father and what will be happening in the time that's drawing closer and closer to the return of the Son of the Heavenly Father. Right? So the scripture said to what? Be sober. Right? Be sober. And to do what? To watch. What are we supposed to watch for? We're supposed to be watching for the signs of the times. Now, the scripture says what? For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. So there are people right now who are going to be caught off guard and unaware of the events that are happening right now because they are not watching. Right? But nevertheless, we as men of the Heavenly Father, as prophets of the Heavenly Father, ambassadors, we're supposed to report nevertheless. We're supposed to be the ones that are watching and reporting. Right? So that all those may not have cloak for their sins. Because we've been out here pushing this word. We've been out here revealing the signs and relating them to prophecy. Right? Because what? We have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Because the testimony of Yahweh Shai is what? The spirit of prophecy. Right? Now, in my process of watching and taking notes of events of the times, I've come across a very intriguing story according to RT. Right? Now, I've been following up with this US Space Force for a while now, looking at it now and then, seeing where they're going. So this is an article that makes mention to the US Space Force. The US Space Force is also referred to as the Air Force Space Command. Right? So now, when you look into this article, it brings across a couple traits that are particularly associated with the so-called white man. Number 1, he is the man of sin and the son of perdition, as it's mentioned in the book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. Right? So he is the man of sin and the son of perdition. And this chapter right here, it's quite relatable to the article. Because what? Esau is what? Exalting himself above all that is called God. He's setting himself above the stars. Right? Now when you read this in 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3, so let no man deceive you by any means. For that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed. That man of sin is referring to Esau, the so-called white man, the Caucasian race. Mainly the elites of the Caucasian race. They are the ones who are bringing forth through the powers of the Most High, because he was blessed with the sword, Zane, who are bringing forth this third world war, right? He's the one that the Heavenly Father is using to bring forth the son of perdition. When you look up the word perdition, what does it say? Let's look. Let's find out, right? Perdition, apoleia, right? According to the Greek, destroying, utter destruction of vessels, perishing, ruin, destruction, right? So, the son of destruction, that is the so-called white man, right? So you say, who opposed and exalted himself above all that is called God. So the white man is the one who opposed and exalted himself above all that is called God, right? He believes that he is the end all be all of all things in association with power, right? He believes that his laws are righteous. He believes that his standard is the right way to go, and he has set himself above the authority at the Heavenly Father. Understand? Which is the true one, that the true blasphemer, right? Or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. That is the mindset of the so-called white man. Now, let's read this article. It says, the newly created U.S. Space Force has test-fired a Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile for the first time, as Russia blasted it for lowering the bar on using nuclear weapons. The unharmed land-based missile was launched from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California shortly after midnight on Wednesday. It was the first such development test since the facility became part of the U.S. Space Force, which was established as an independent military branch in late December. The U.S. previously test fire a missile of this type in October, right? So it's talking about the U.S. Space Force. Now let's clarify something as to why there's a U.S. Space Force. Now, the U.S. Space Force, what will the U.S. Space Force do? So it says, so according to Google, you can just Google these things, man. Right? Role and mission. So the role and mission of the U.S. Space Force, once established, is intended to become the lead military service for space operations, responsible for space doctrine, organization, training, material, leadership and education, personal facilities, and policy. Now, the interesting word in this whole entire paragraph right here is the word military. Now, when you look up a military, it says the military is a group of or groups of people that are given power to defend something, right? So they are given power to defend something. Now, U.S. Space Force, so it's a military arm of the government that is given power to defend what? Space. It's in the word, right? Now, why would they want to defend space? Intriguing. Now, let's get that. Why would the United States want to have control over the space to defend it? Defend it from what? Those are questions that we need to ask ourselves. So now, let's read this in the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 15. It said, for behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. So there are chariots of the Heavenly Father that will come through what? The clouds, right? As it's mentioned also in the book of Revelation. So like, yeah, let's get that in the book of Revelation, chapter, I think it's chapter 7. Oh no, right? Revelation, it's like, you bear with me. Revelation chapter 1, verse 7. Say, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. When you look up the word wail, what does it mean? Right? Wail. Beats one breast for grief. To beat one's breast for grief. So them are go bawl. Right? So all the kindreds of the earth are going to cry because of him. Now, in the midst of all of that, Esau will be doing what? Esau will be trying to combat the forces of the Heavenly Father, which is what? Is US Space Force. And you can get that according to the book of, I think it's 1st Ezra. Let's look it up. 1st Ezra, chapter 13. Alright, 1st Ezra. 1st Ezra. Right? This is it. 1st Ezra chapter 13, right? And it says, and it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamt a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. The heavens is speaking about the sky. So men on earth wax strong with the thousands of heaven, which is the forces of the Heavenly Father. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. So this is what the US Space Force is truly about. They are trying to militarize space so that they seemingly, because they believe say them above God, can defend themselves against the forces of the Heavenly Father. So let's get back to the article. So it says, the unarmed land base, so they are testing them thing right now. They are refining them weapons according to the book of Ezekiel 21. Is a sword is sharpened, it's also made furbish. See? So it's not only sharpened to basically kill people on the earth, but it's trying to defend the earth or for them state from the forces of the Heavenly Father. The mind of the so-called white man. Yeah. See? The Minuteman missiles are the key component of the US land-based nuclear arsenal. The launch was crucial to the work of further testing and evaluation of the ICBM program and many space and range programs to come. 38th Operations Group Commander Colonel Chris Barcom said. So it says last August, the US unilaterally left the landmark Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty with Russia. This is another trait of the so-called white man. He's a breaker of deals, right? So them left the treaty with Russia. They're showing you that war in this man's heart, as it mentioned in the book of Psalms 55. Zine, it say, Psalms 55 verse 17, it says, evening and morning and night, and at night will I pray and cry aloud, and he shall hear my voice. He had delivered my soul in peace from the battle that was against me, for there were many with me. So like verse 20. It says, he put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him, and he had broken his covenant. The covenant, right? Covenant, alliance, pledge between men. Treaty, alliance, league. What is this? The Intermediate Range Nuclear Force Treaty is a what? Let's look it up. So the Intermediate Range Nuclear Force Treaty was an arms control treaty between the United States and the Soviet Union, right? So it was an arms control treaty. So the United States do what? Them basically opt out of the treaty, right? With Russia. So it says, which banned all land-based missiles with a range of up to 5,500 kilometers. So this treaty banned missiles that are capable of reaching this range. Zine, and their launchers. So it's a Moscow, which also stopped following the treaty after the US abandoned it, heavily criticized Washington's move, right? So Washington jump out of it, and as soon as them jump out of it, them start test missiles. Understand? Showing you that this man mind upon war. Zine, as it mentions back in the book of Psalms 55. Zine, it said the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. So war in him heart, him basically thirsty for war. His words were softer than oil, yet they drawn swords. Right? And that is exactly what this article is saying. Zine, so when you continue, the article is saying, which also stopped following the treaty after the US abandoned it, heavily criticized Washington move. Russian President Vladimir Putin warned that the discarding of the key arms control agreement will trigger an unrestrained arms race. Just 2 weeks after scrapping the INF treaty, the US test fired a cruise missile. Just 2 weeks, him couldn't wait. Zine, him test fire a cruise missile. Zine, that would have been prohibited by Russia by it. So Russia pointed out at the time that the tests revealed that the Pentagon had actually been long preparing to undermine the agreement by developing banned weapon systems in secret. Right? So this is where the so-called white man is up to. This is what they are up to. They are refining their weaponry. Zine. And as it says that the ban of the treaty will do what? Have an unrestricted arms race. An arms race is when each country is trying to develop their nuclear arsenal to be greater than the other. Right? So the ban of that treaty is causing over testing, you can say, our development of newly created destructive weapons. Right? And they are doing these things to do what? To defend themselves against each other, and they are doing these things to defend themselves against the forces of the Heavenly Father, as it's mentioned in the book of First Ezra chapter 13, right? And it clearly shows you the state of mind of the so-called white man. So when you read the book of Isaiah chapter 14 verse 13, it says, "For thou hast said in thine heart," so in the mind of the so-called white man, him say, "I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation, and in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." So that is the sentiments that the mind of the elites of the Caucasian race are saying, that they will exalt them, that they will ascend above the throne of the Heavenly Father. That is what their ultimate wish is to be like, right? So so this is the book of Slakia. Yeah. Isaiah 47 verse 7 say, "And thou sayest, I shall be a lady forever." So they believe that they shall continue forever. They believe that nothing will happen to them. All of these destructive capabilities that they are coming in with, they believe say it have a last. But according to the book of Job, let's get that. Job chapter 5. Job chapter 5. Verse, let me see. Job, bear with me. Is it 5? Verse 12. Job chapter 5 verse 12. "He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise." So them enterprise, them not gonna succeed with it. Right? Them not gonna able to perform it nor fulfill what they are trying to do. So that is what the so-called white man is up to right now, man. He's up to basically militarizing space so that he can defend himself when the chariots of the Heavenly Father come, because the chariots of the Heavenly Father not coming to play any games, man. Understand? I believe that the point of this lesson was made. I want to say Kalalal, Yahweh Bashim Yoshai, Washem Rakar double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Stone. Salutations to all the brothers that's pushing this work in truth and sincerity. Shalom.